Hi there guys and welcome. These are your handover videos for your 2022 Coachman VIP 575. These are essentially a basic walkthrough on how to set up and operate the caravan if you were getting to site. So starting off first, you've got your black hitch head just here with your black handle, which you have to have pulled up, and then you have to wind the jockey wheel down onto the tow bar, which will then snap back that handle back to reality, push up that red button, expose the green ring. You then have your breakaway cable here. If you do have an eye point, it has to be used. If not, wrap it around the tow bar. You've got your handbrake here, which you just press up and down for. It does come up with a little bit of force. You do have 13-pin electric, so if your car does have 7-pin adaptation, make sure to bring yourself an adapter. Then you've got your jockey wheel just here. Jockey wheel is used to level the caravan and ultimately pull it back and forwards as well when you're on ground. Then 2 points either side and 2 points at the back, you have inserts for your legs. The caravan itself will come with a leg winder, or you can grab yourself a 19mm drill bit and a power drill just to make it that bit quicker. Do not attempt to jack up or level the caravan using the legs. They are simply used for stabilisation. Now we're using our test equipment today here, so I have a red propane gas bottle connecting onto this in-date gas hose. Black gas hoses run for 5 years. Connecting from the bottle itself, onto the regulator. Now it is a single regulator onto the top there. Hand tighten the hose as much as possible and then just nip it up using the spanner. You don't want it ridiculously hard on because essentially it will just squash the washer and potentially lead to gas leaking out. So just hand tighten it and then just nip it up slightly. Then moving along the other side, first up you have your flue. Your flue is used to get clean air in and out of your boiler when you're operating on gas. Don't have to do anything with this except make sure that it's nice, clean and tidy. Then just here I have an Akrol full of clean drinking water and your water pump. So just remove that for a second. You have a strainer at the bottom of the barrel. That's where it has to sit, as otherwise it may lead to coughs and splutters. So it has to sit at the bottom of the barrel. Now these types, they are weighted, and that's my telephone. Just silence that. So it will naturally sit there. Then you have this plastic cap here to go over the top of the Akrol to make sure no nastiness gets in. And then you just insert just as I've done there, and then press down the cap there, and you can't remove it. Next up, you've got your battery lock, and now this example does have a battery fitted. If you need to fit one yourself, you'll need either a 12 or 13mm spanner for the terminals, or the battery spanner that comes with it. And then you have your plug-in for your mains just here. Mains just plugs in nice and easy. And then you also do have a little bit of an outcut there if you wanted to feed the mains lead around and lock up the locker. This example does have a motor mover, but I will show that on collection. Then you have 2 inserts just here, and that's where your wastewater will come out of. You'll need some 28.5mm waste pipe to then feed into your waste master that you can then empty out at the appropriate point on site. Then lastly, we have your toilet functions. So first up, we have your cassette toilet. So you have to make sure that the cassette itself on the toilet inside is pulled towards you on the handle, which I'll show you later on. Then to remove it, press up on the handle just like so and pull out. Now what you can also do is pull that up and out, so essentially it works like a carry-on suitcase. Then once you get to your emptying point on site, twist that head to the side, take that cap off. You want to tilt and at the same time continually pressing that button to vent. What I'd recommend doing if you'd like a nice smelling toilet is open up that compartment there, feed in some fresh water, a little bit of a shake, and again tilt and vent. Then on this cap here you have measurements in both imperial and metric, and that is for your blue chemical. Blue chemical goes into here, back onto the cap, twist the head to the side and push in the cassette so that orange handle sits behind those white teeth, as then it can't be removed. Then just up here you have your flush tank capacity. So Get yourself something like a watering can just to make it that touch easier. It can hold about 12 litres of water, however I wouldn't recommend putting in any more than 10 as you don't want to overfill the compartment. You can also add pink chemical, which works as a bleach without being corrosive and makes the toilet smell nicer. Don't put bleach down the toilet, it's a plastic component. Now you don't want to travel with either of these too full, so just up here you have a little bung to open up to drain off any remaining water in that system. The caravan will be fully drained off before you take it away with yourselves. Then you have all of this underneath your right hand side seat, so I won't recommend storing anything under here. This right here is your boiler if you ever need to do a reset on that. Then as you can see here, you have these blue leads leading to these two yellow switch valves. When they're in the horizontal position as they are now, that is allowing the flow of water to come through. When they are in the vertical position, that will drain off any water inside the system. November to March, have that up permanently unless you're actively using the caravan, as any water inside the system may freeze over and burst, which invalidates any warranty claim that you may attempt to make. We will leave the caravan's drain valves in the vertical position when you leave, so when you do come to use it, make sure you switch it over. This blue box here, that is your brain box for your motor mover, again if you ever need to do a reset. You have your solar panel regulator just there as well, which essentially gives a nice little trickle charge to your battery. And then lastly, pull this down, you have all your trips and fuses, all your trips in the upright position and all your fuses in the correct position. If you do need to know what the fuses correspond to, please have a look inside your book pack. Then just here we have your main control panel, so you can turn it off and on using that master switch just there. And then you could cycle through first into settings. If you want to go into settings, it's that part there. You then have display, sound, temperature unit, notification, what firmware it's on, and then save and exit. To get into any of that, to use that button there. Then the internal temperature, which is 31 degrees right now because it is hot and these things are like sweat boxes. And then your leisure battery voltage. Now that is not a true representation of a leisure battery voltage as we're currently plugged into mains. If you didn't have the mains lead in, that would be an accurate representation of the actual battery voltage. Then the time. First up, you've got internal lights, so on and off, and then you just have to use retrospective light switches. Then awning light on. So go outside, and as you can see, your awning light is on. And then lastly, we have your water pump button. Now, I've just pressed pump on, but what I'm going to do is essentially just give a minute or two to allow the water to actually circulate through. So, whilst I do that, I will show you the Alder system. So, this is for your heating and hot water. You have this panel just here. So, as you can see, this is the startup sequence. The temperature gauge between these two may differ slightly. So right now, this one says it's 27 degrees. So press menu and you come to this screen just here. So first up, you have the thermometer in the house. That is for the internal temperature of the caravan that you desire. Goes up and down in 0.5s. Goes up to a maximum of 30 and starts at 5. Then you have the shower icon, which is for your water heat. So you can either have that off, as it is now. Midway, which will get the water temperature to about 40 to 50 degrees. Or you can have it on full. Now what full does, it prioritizes the water heat over the heating of the actual caravan for about 30 minutes. It will then drop itself back down to that part just there. Now, it will get the water temperature to about 60 degrees, so it's ideal if you want to use a shower in the morning. Next up, you've got your two sources, so it can either run strictly gas by pressing in that button, or it can have 1, 2, or 3 kilowatts of power. Now, do be aware that some sites, especially if they are jam-packed, will not have the capacity for 3 kilowatts, so do double check with your site. Or I can run both of them, so 1 kilowatt in gas, 2 kilowatts in gas, or 3 kilowatts in gas. When they're lit up green, that means that they are on. Then you have some additional settings here. Not going to go through these. If you'd like to know what they represent, please have a look inside your book pack. We have set this to what we believe is the most user-friendly to use. This screen will naturally turn itself off if it hasn't been touched in a little while, but to turn it off completely, press that button there. Now going back to here, I've pressed water pump on. I then move the cushion out of the way, open up just here, and then you run your sink on both hot and cold. And what you're looking for is this nice steady continuous stream. If there's any coughs or splutters inside, go outside and double check to make sure that the actual strainer is set at the bottom of the barrel. But let this run for about 30 seconds when you first plug yourself in. And as you can see, nice steady continuous stream. Check it on both hot and cold, and then also check it on your sink down there and your shower down there as well if you're wanting to use them capacities. However, if you haven't used the caravan in a little bit of time and you've recently drained it off, just make sure that you allow the water to circulate first, and then hot and cold. Okay, so just to go back to this, quick summary. As you can see, it says pump running. When it's drawing through the water again, you may hear a little bit of a purring sound as well. You've got settings, internal temperature and leisure voltage, pump on and off, lights on and off, awning light on and off, and then your select button just here. And here we have your hob, grill and oven. So everything works on gas minus your electric plate. For that, just spin it to whatever gas mark you want and it will get to that. You then have a light on and on for your cooker just there, and everything else is to press it on the dial, twist it to the side, that will begin to feed the gas through, and press your igniter. Now when you first do come to use it, make sure you check that every component is working. It may be a case that when you first initially try everything, it will just fade out. That's natural, that's just the gas making its way through the system. But this is what it looks like when they're all lit. As you can see, all your burners nice and lit, nice blue clean continuous flames. Back to the central position to turn it off, then again to the grill. As you can see here, all sides nice and lit. And finally, the oven. Let me see if I can do this with one hand. Don't know if I can. There we go. All nice and lit. Only other real thing to note, make sure you travel with this glass sheet down, but don't put it down until all of these are cold to the touch. And make sure that you travel with your gas off as well. Then just here we have your fridge operation. Now you may think it's simple, but it can trick a few people. So turn this on, press and hold on this button just here. It will flash up with its startup screen. You then come to this interface. Now this is a dial, but it's also a button at the same time. So I press in on the button, and first up I have the choice for the amount of power coming in. So starting at 1 all the way up to 5. 5 being the most powerful, so it's going to chill it the quickest. To select, press in. Then we're back to the home screen. Press in again, and let's say I want to change source this time. So twist it to the side, and I come to the source. So I can either run auto, which the fridge will automatically choose what it thinks is the best source to use. I can then have 13-pin electric, so when I'm plugged into my car to chill it. That is not leisure battery though. Do not attempt to use that on leisure battery, as it will just trip out. Gas. Now for gas, let's say I select that, you can see the blue goes over. The gas will gradually begin to tick in. Then once it's finished ticking, that means it's then lit. Or mains. Now let's say I choose auto here. Auto, just like that. Then go back, and auto has chose mains. And lastly, you've got a couple of additional settings. So you go down to this last one, you have screen brightness just here. So more bars, more bright. Sound when I select stuff, and then a fan ventilation system. Now that screen is not going to be active whilst you sleep, it will naturally just go away. But to turn this off, press and hold in, hear that beep, turns off. Now these fridges as well are two-way fridges, so you can open them up from either side. Don't attempt to open it from both sides. Then lastly we have your toilet system, which we might say is box simple. So flush button just here, press it in, and you can hear that motor. That motor is what would push around any water inside your flush tank system. As we've drained it off, there's no water to show you. Then when you need to remove your waste, press away on the handle, opens up the catch just like so, pull it back towards you and shuts it up. You need to have it pulled back towards you, as otherwise you can't remove the cassette toilet. Then when it is full, there will be a red light come on underneath your cassette telling you to empty the bog.